Italy's story through World War I and II is one of shifting allegiances. In World War I, they sided with the Allied forces. In World War II, however, they switched to the Axis forces, suffering massive casualties both times. Despite their misguidance, their naval fleet stood out as one of the most advanced of its time. In this video, we'll explore the fascinating vessels at their command and their performance during and after both wars. At the onset of World War I, Italy initially declared its neutrality despite being a part of the Triple Alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary since 1882. When conflict broke out between the Central Powers, German, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire, and the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, Japan, and the United States, Italy did not rush to pick sides. But this neutrality had roots that ran much deeper than its superficiality of its choice not to partake in the war. You see, the Italian government had some long-standing grievances with Austria-Hungary. Grievances over territory. They had their sights set on regions of South Tyrol and the Dalmatian coast, areas that belonged to the Italians by birthright and were more populated with ethnic Italians. However, these areas were controlled by the Austro-Hungarian government. Filled with a sense of irredentism, Italy believed that it should reclaim its land lost to the other nation. Coupled with the fact that the Italians were also wary of Austria-Hungary's aggressive actions in the Balkans, particularly with the invasion of Serbia, Italy saw the upcoming war as an opportunity to take back what was rightfully theirs. The Central Powers gained more ground and victories against the Allied forces as the war progressed. At this point, the Italian government began seriously recognizing its position in the war. Led by Prime Minister Antonio Salandra and Foreign Minister Sidney Sonnino, Italy joined the Allied forces. Remaining neutral could lead to missed opportunities for territorial gains, but if the Allied forces emerged victorious, they could claim some of the territories they coveted. In late 1914, negotiations began between Italy and both sides of the conflict. On the one hand, the Allied forces sought to woo Italy with the promise of significant territorial reward. On the other hand, Germany and Austria-Hungary were also attempting to persuade Italy to honor its alliance and provide military support against the Allied forces. But these overtures were met with skepticism, seeing that many Italians viewed Austria-Hungary as more of a rival than an ally. A classic case of the devil you know and the angel you don't. Italy, in aspiration for a better future, chose to side with the unknown angel, the Allied forces. On April 26, 1915, the Treaty of London was signed. Italy was promised substantial territorial gains in this secret agreement if it joined the Allies against the Central Powers. The treaty promised territories such as South Tyrol, parts of Istria and Dalmatia, which were already tantalizingly close to fulfilling Italy's iridescent ambitions. On May 23, 1915, Italy officially declared war against Austria-Hungary. During the 1900s, Italy's naval fleet was one of the most advanced, boasting weaponry that its opposition could only dream of. Between 1915 and 1917, when the war began, the Italian Navy played an integral role in securing coastal areas, supporting ground forces, and intercepting Austro-Hungarian supply routes. The Italian Navy deployed various vessels to accomplish their mission, each equipped with unique roles. Their fleet included powerful battleships like the Dante Alighieri and the Conte de Cavour-class dreadnought, swift destroyers like the Audis, and most importantly, the revolutionary Motoscafo Armato Silurante, MAS, torpedo boats. The Dante Alighieri was the first dreadnought battleship built for the Italian Navy. It was a vessel that embodied Italy's ambitions to assert itself as a formidable maritime power in the early 20th century. Launched in 1910 and completed in 1913, the ship was a product of innovative design and engineering. Measuring 168 meters in length and displacing 19,552 tons at an average load, the Dante Alighieri featured a classic hull design that was robust and streamlined. The ship was equipped with 4 propeller shafts driven by Parsons steam turbines powered by a combination of coal and oil-fired bleached-in-water tube boilers. This enabled the ship to achieve speeds of up to 23 knots. It was one of the fastest battleships of its time. The armament of the Dante Alighieri was impressive, designed for both offense and defense. 12 305mm guns arranged in 4 triple turrets along the ship's centerline allowed for a broadside fire capacity to unleash deathly salvos against enemy vessels. 13 76mm anti-aircraft guns mounted on turret tops, and 3 submerged torpedo tubes. The Dante Alighieri seemed formidable, and it proved to be just that. In the Battle of Durazzo in December 1915, Dante Alighieri found itself as the center of operations aimed to disrupt Austro-Hungarian supply lines, and, at the same time, support ground forces engaged in the fight along the Albanian coast to secure control of the Adriatic Sea. As dawn broke on December 18th, the Dante Alighieri, alongside other cruisers and destroyers, advanced on Abruzzo, where the Austro-Hungarian ships were reportedly stationed. A battle immediately ensued between both opposing forces. With its formidable array of 12-inch guns, the Dante Alighieri unleashed a barrage of attacks targeted at the enemy's position with precision. The ship showed extraordinary ability to deliver heavy firepower from its broadside, engaging enemy cruisers while at the same time defending its territory. However, the ship was not without drawbacks. The ship featured a maximum belt thickness of 254mm, a little below average for dreadnoughts. This level of protection was more akin to that of battlecruisers rather than full-fledged battleships. Hence, it was vulnerable to heavy enemy firepower. Besides this significant drawback of the ship's design, the configuration of its guns arranged in 4 triple turrets limited its firepower. All of these factors, coupled with the challenging maneuverability of the ship during battle, which hindered its ability to achieve swift, decisive victories in the heat of war, might have led to the indecisive outcome of the advance on Durazzo, but it wouldn't be the Italian Navy's final show of strength. The Battle of Vittorio Veneto, fought between October 24th and November 4th, 1918, marked a swift victory for the Italian Navy, one that ultimately led to winning over the Austro-Hungarian Empire in World War I. As the battle unfolded, under the command of Admiral Armando Diaz, the Italian fleet launched a massive offensive attack that attacked Austro-Hungarian troops along the Piave River. Dante Alighieri was given another chance to prove himself, and he did not fail. During this attack, Italy also utilized a new innovation, mortars torpedo boats known as Motoscafo Armato Silurante, or MAS if your Italian isn't so good. These boats had a great effect on turning the tide of the war. Although small but agile, they were designed for stealth attacks against larger enemy ships. On November 1st, 1918, 2 Italian frogmen aboard a human torpedo successfully infiltrated Pola's naval base and sank the dreadnought Viribus Unitas, one of Austria-Hungary's most powerful ships. As the echoes of World War I faded into the walls of history, Italy stood among the victors, but not without its scars. The war claimed countless lives and resources. The nation's victory was hard-won. Yet, victory did not bring the spoils Italy had hoped for. The territorial gains promised by its allies in the Treaty of London did not meet their expectations. Italy received far less than what was bargained for. They had been betrayed, and their discontentment once again shaped their ambition the next time the world descended into chaos. Italy was a different nation when the Second World War erupted in 1939. Now, under the authoritarian rule of Benito Mussolini, its priorities had shifted from unfulfilled alliances to imperial dreams. Mussolini's vision of a revived Roman Empire and dominance over the Mediterranean drove Italy to align with Germany, abandoning its former allies from World War I. Italy's naval force, the Regia Marina, was just what Mussolini needed to enforce his ambitions. Building on its experience from World War I, Italy began to transform its naval fleet into a formidable force. Where its strength once relied on dreadnoughts and torpedo boats, the Regia Marina now boasted cutting-edge battleships, destroyers, and a fleet of submarines designed to dominate the Mediterranean. Among the most notable advancements in Italy's naval fleet was the addition of the Enrico Tazzoli. Commissioned in 1935, the Enrico Tazzoli was a Calvi-class submarine named after the Italian patriot of the 19th century. 86 meters in length, it was a sleek and menacing vessel capable of submerging depths up to 100 meters. Armed with 8 torpedo tubes and a deck gun, Enrico Tazzoli was designed for long-range patrols, particularly offensive operations. Under Commando Carlo Fessia do Cassato, the Tazzoli won many victories for the Italian Navy. One of its most celebrated feats was in 1941, when it sank several Allied merchant ships in the Atlantic. Using its torpedoes, aiming with precision, The submarine was key in destroying the enemy's vital supply lines, and although the sub had the accolades of its crew and the fear of its adversaries, it wasn't without its flaws. Its speed was relatively slow when submerged, greatly limiting its maneuverability and making it vulnerable to depth charge and aerial attacks. Additionally, it lacked advanced sonar systems, a big disadvantage against more technologically advanced navies like the British. Despite these limitations, the Enrico Tazzoli and other submarines of the Regia Marina represented Italy's naval strength. However, this strength on paper faltered in practice. At the onset of World War II, Italy's leadership greatly underestimated the logistical challenges of sustaining a war, particularly with limited access to resources like oil and steel. Furthermore, poor coordination with Germany and outdated communication systems dulled its ability to fully utilize its naval power. So, as the tide of war turned against the Axis of powers, Italy became increasingly isolated. The Allies' superior industrial capacity and strategic bombing campaigns weakened Italy's infrastructure, while Allied navies, bolstered by American reinforcements, took control of the Mediterranean. The once mighty Regia Marina was reduced to a shadow of its former self. Its vessels were either sunk or captured while its crews were disbanded. In 1943, Italy's war effort finally collapsed. Mussolini was deposed, and the new Italian government had signed an armistice with the Allies. But the sudden switch of allegiance came a little too late for Italy to redeem its fortunes. The Regia Marina, which once stood as a symbol of the nation's pride, faced the ignominy of surrendering its remaining ships to the Allied forces. In the immediate aftermath of the war, much of the Regia Marina's surviving fleet was either dismantled or handed over to the Allied powers as spoils of war. Iconic battleships like the Vittorio Veneto were decommissioned or converted for non-combat use. The loss of critical vessels and the restrictions of Italy's naval capabilities presented an enormous challenge. However, the nation's strategic location in the Mediterranean, coupled with its long-standing maritime tradition, ensured the Marina Militare would not fade into obscurity. The Cold War era became a catalyst for the Navy's revival. As tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union escalated, Italy's geographical position made it a crucial member of NATO. The alliance provided Italy with the resources and technical expertise to modernize its fleet. Lessons learned from World War II, such as the importance of technological adaptability, better logistics, and effective coordination, guided the rebuilding process. Their post-war shipbuilding greatly emphasized versatility and innovation. Italy began to develop smaller, more agile vessels like frigates and destroyers, vessels that focused on anti-submarine and anti-aircraft capabilities. One of the most significant milestones in the Marina Militare's post-war recovery was the construction of the Giuseppe Garibaldi in the 1980s. Throughout the post-war decades, Italy's navy transformed to become a more modern and versatile force capable of participating in humanitarian missions and anti-piracy operations. What do you think about Italy's position during both wars? Was their shift in alliance rightfully placed, or were they being a little too greedy? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video and would love to see more like it, then you're in the right harbor. Drop a like, subscribe, and check out other videos on the channel for more content like this. While you're at it, hit the post notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming videos. See you in the next one.